Hargrove with Global Neighbors is on. Perhaps she's got some questions or information for the group as well. And maybe while we're going along, we'll get a late joiner and then we'll have a quorum.
Sounds great. Well, with that, I will hereby call this meeting to order. We already have a roll call, Whitney, or do you need people to, I guess we can't really put any names out there or anything like that, right?
Brandy's here.
So we officially have a quorum.
Brandy's on now.
All right. Well, there we go. Welcome, Brandy. Hope you're doing well today.
I am. Sorry I'm late.
You got on just in time. So.
Perfect.
You're needed.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
So we got a roll call. I'll read the mission of our committee here. It's the purpose of the Bismarck Human Relations Committee is to create an atmosphere of inclusion, equality, and accessibility through education and outreach to recognize the value of a diverse community. I guess I would first start to next approve the minutes of last meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look at them and go over the minutes for last one?
Mm-hmm.
I would so move.
Okay, I've got a first. You want to have a second?
I'll second. This is Brandy.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Sorry. Opposed? All right. So moved. We have approved the minutes. Do we have some public comment? I think Leah would like to talk on bullet 6. Do we have any other public comment or anyone that would like to make some comments right now? No? Okay. Let's move on to Bismarck Global Neighbors and talk a little bit there.
Hi there, this is Leah Hargrove. Can everybody hear me okay?
Sure can.
Yes.
Okay, good. I was reached out to Whitney that I was on the agenda, but I haven't actually heard from the committee as to what anyone is looking for me to speak about today. Unless this is just a discussion to continue the possibility of introducing an immigrant advisory committee to the city.
And I think our question to you, Leah, is what kind of resources would you need from the HRC to maybe move forward with that? What would you like the HRC to help with if that's something you still were interested in?
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. Yeah, so what would be helpful if the HRC would recommend it as something that you all feel would be appropriate, would be an idea of what level to put an immigrant advisory committee, whether it's a committee that meets informally and reports directly to the city commission, or if they report to you all at the HRC just for immigrant specific issues as a subset of what you're already doing. What we see in the community as kind of larger system-wide issues that affect new Americans or affect new Americans disproportionately in terms of access to opportunity and access to resources. It would be helpful to have a group that met maybe quarterly and then could report on problems or answer questions that are coming from higher up within the city about immigrant specific issues.
Okay. Now would this be something that would be within our group or kind of like a parallel committee to the Human Relations Committee?
That's a question I would propose to you all. Different cities have done it different ways. Big cities usually have like a standalone immigrant advisory committee. Bismarck does not have enough of an immigrant population that I think that would be an appropriate response. but as a subset that reports to the HRC or that reports infrequently, maybe once a year, twice a year, to the city commission. That might be more appropriate. But I would really rely on the HRC's perspective and recommendation of that.
Yeah. Well, with this as well, so I'm just trying to think of the possibility here and what it could be a part of, and you know, some of the things that we focus on with this immigrant advisory committee. I mean, is that something that we can incorporate into what we already do, and then have, you know, some part or some piece of what we have events for be a part of that, right? Some kind of a. Does that make sense? I mean, do we have to form a new committee, or can we? Is it something where if we have the right people, this could be something that we incorporate through what we already do?
This is Brandy, and I think that this would fit nicely and well underneath kind of the thing I had brought up with the racial equity and discrimination. And I think I know that was agreed that we would continue moving forward with as a committee, and because there's been some hiccups on just being able to get responses back from people. I think this might be an opportunity to just maybe lean into our community and see what questions we need to be asking from Janelle about our current, like what maybe Leah is seeing locally regarding language that might be problematic or might be a barrier in the community. And then we can continue moving forward with the suggestions and recommendations, and even talking to Janelle a little bit better on like what we want to be reviewing. That might be like more of the priority points that we would be able to better educate like the city council on.
What are some other thoughts?
I guess I would like to see what Janelle has to say and her thoughts on that from a city attorney perspective.
Janelle is trying to raise her hand, so I'm gonna try and.
Yep. As long as I'm recognized, I'm not a member of the committee, so I don't want to step on toes. The HRC is an advisory committee, and it would help if we knew more of the scope of what the immigration subcommittee would be. Is it that if there's issues accessing things or issues, that they bring things to the table, then I think HRC is a very good resource for that. I'm not sure you need a separate committee. It depends on what is it that this immigration subcommittee, what would it do?
That's a good point. Like, is it a subcommittee, or is it just like, hey, some of the things that this committee would focus on is what we can focus on year round, or have it a part of what we're doing?
Because that's what I think they're looking for, is just someone to kind of lead the way and kind of just pass along information.
Yeah. Leah, would you be able to give us more information on what your vision is with this committee, or what you would like more addressed moving forward, so that maybe it's something we can include versus creating a whole other advisory committee?
Sure, thank you. What I would say that as far as the structure, I really defer to the city and the HRC for what's most appropriate. My vision of what needs to happen, what would be beneficial for the community I'm serving, is a public arena to discuss the barriers that are facing immigrants, and also oftentimes the rights that are being disenfranchised of the immigrants I serve. It could be that the HRC itself is a very appropriate place to set that. I would worry that the volume would overwhelm the time commitments that you already have to talk about things. I don't want to co-opt the HRC to become an immigrant-only platform. And that's just why I proposed the idea of having a group of immigrants that would be able to have the initial discussions and then pass them on to whichever level was next in line. And it could be that it's a group that just very informally reports to the HRC on major issues. Or it could be that the HRC feels like you're in a good place to really sit down and listen to some of the issues that we're facing in the community, and the ways that people are not able to access equal opportunities here in Bismarck.
So Leah, you need to know that if this is created out of the HRC or out of the city commission as a formal committee, all of those meetings would be open to the public.
Mm-hmm.
There would be no confidentiality, and you'd have to notice them if you're making it a formal committee. And you'd have to have accessible, locations and all that kind of stuff. So if it's formal, all of those grievances happening would be done in the public. That's just for your information, so you're aware. If it's done more informally, someone's just a liaison, then they can distill the information and bring it to the HRC.
Mm-hmm. Sure, thank you.
I guess let's keep defining what this would focus on, and before we go big and try to start a new committee, maybe we see how it can integrate into what we're doing and some educational outreach and some of the things that fall under the mission of what we try to do every year here. If it outgrows what we're able to serve, then I think we look then at doing another committee. What we can maybe start small, see where it goes, and then expand from there. Does that kind of make sense and kind of a smart move?
Yeah.
Leah, are you okay with that?
Yes, I could hear you. Sorry, it's difficult not having a screen to know if I'm being adjusted. Yes, that sounds fine.
Okay. Good. Yeah. So action items for that. Let's keep defining what that would look like and what we can integrate throughout this community, this group here. What else do you see, Leah, as what we should kind of keep moving forward on this? And I don't want this to be one agenda item this month and not make it next month. What action items can we do to keep moving the ball forward here?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Well, just saying, like, what action items do you foresee that we should keep looking at so we can keep this moving forward?
Oh, for sure. One that maybe would be helpful for you all to get a little bit better scope. I'd be happy to kind of type up a really simple report or like ground view of some issues that need to be addressed that come up frequently during the year within our community, and that might give the HRC a good idea as to are these issues that fit well within our schedule, or are they something bigger to tackle that requires more personnel. So that could be an action item of something that I can put together and email out to the members of the community within the next few weeks.
Yeah, that would be great. If you could funnel that through Whitney and then she'll disperse throughout the committee, that would be very helpful.
All right, wonderful.
All right. Moving on to the next piece, advancing racial equality in your city. I think, Brandy, are you leading that?
I am. So I wanted to kind of touch base on some of the follow-up conversations I've had. And one of the things that I think is really important to hit on is understanding where we are at as a committee to even kind of make these recommendations. And that's been something kind of brought up to my attention and something just kind of I've noted over the last couple of meetings. And so I think one of the things that we need to think of as a committee ourselves is first understanding how we as a committee approach this conversation as a whole, and what sort of training we may need to maybe go through as a committee so that we are not being offensive in the way that we're responding, or that we're addressing race equity or LGBTQ discrimination as well. And the reason why I bring this up is because I did note the last time I did bring it up in the conversation, there were some comments that were made that although the intent was not to be offensive in the context and overall, like if we were to move forward and try to present anything at this current stage as a committee, I don't think we would be adequate in the message that we were trying to present to the city commission, because we ourselves, like as a committee, need some training on the 101 and just kind of what the navigation would look like in the conversation, and what's appropriate to say and maybe what's not necessarily appropriate to say when navigating the topic of systematic racism or LGBTQ discrimination. So one of the things I wanted to bring up was, is there an opportunity or a possibility for us to bring in someone who may be able to give us a little background or just kind of a one-on-one training on race equity, so that we, again, as a community, have a broader understanding, and then we also know where each other are coming from as we continue to move forward and look at ordinances, or we start making any sort of recommendations, just because the realization is that's a very big task to take on. And I think that we need to take some additional fundamental steps for us to actually be able to take it on effectively.
You're
And so,
asking some kind
and
of
asking,
training for us, correct?
yes, yep. If there would be, if there's an organization, I mean, even with, I mean, we're looking at partnering with Global Neighbors for a number of things that they're requesting, making sure that we understand not just our role as an advisory committee, but also what's appropriate, like appropriate responses to those individuals who may be coming to us in the future, to make sure that we are navigating those conversations appropriately.
Great question. I don't know. I don't think we've ever had committee training. I don't know, Whitney, if that's, is it, do you have maybe, do you have anything in mind, Randy, or like you have a class or something like that you've seen or gone through, or do you have anything that you think that would be beneficial for the?
So I've gone through quite a few different things. The most recent one I went through in September was a humanities training. It was called Racial Healing, but really it talked about, it really was just kind of the history of racism, predominantly in North Dakota, in our area, which I really appreciated because it emphasized local immigrants and refugees, as well as Native American culture, which predominantly influences the Bismarck community, right? So there was some national information, but it honed in on more of just our area, which was really helpful. And then I've been to larger ones where there's been like IDI exams and self-training. What I was thinking was more of the softer one of someone either through humanities or even Global Neighbors, or, you know, one of these local organizations coming in and just kind of doing the basics, the 101s. And I can actually send over an example to Whitney of what that racial healing description was, to give you a better idea of what I'm explaining there. And then with the LGBTQ discrimination that we had hit on, Dakota Outright provides a training, and they have 3 different sections to it. So we could attend all 3 or just one, but really it's just I think that as a committee, we also need to be educating ourselves so that we're not kind of putting our foot in our mouths. And I speak of myself as well, because we all have biases, and to be able to educate, again, the city council, or even provide educational material and be able to speak on these topics, I just think it would be really great to have that behind us, so that if people are asking, well, why do you, or how do you know about this, we can actually say, well, we've gone through this as a training, as a committee, because we ourselves understand and recognize the need and necessity of these conversations in the community, because they're not comfortable. They're very uncomfortable, and it's something I needed to also recognize. I've been having these conversations, but that doesn't mean everyone else has been having these sort of conversations over the last few years. And I think that, to be fair, as a committee, this would just be a great opportunity for all of us to know where we're each at. And so I could reach out to the Humanities Council and send that information to Whitney, and then also reach out to Dakota Outright and just send over little, like, literally what those trainings are, and then we could maybe move forward and see if those would be a good opportunity and good fit for us as we continue moving forward to make any sort of advising on ordinances or laws.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, I like your idea where you're going with that. Would you please coordinate with Whitney on some of those classes and some of those thinking of presenting to the group? And then I think as a group,
Yeah.
we can kind of look at them and say, this makes sense. Let's set aside some time for this, or ooh,
Okay.
I don't have time to spend for 8 hours on this. We can.
No 8 hours. Oh my
Thank
God.
God. Okay.
No, roll it back. We're all in Zoom meetings far too often. No, it's literally like, it'd be like an hour, like what I was thinking on like the racial one, and an hour on the LGBTQ one. And then if there was follow-up requests, like we can go from there, but an hour like a piece. So it would set aside like maybe one of the meetings being something like that, or I don't know how we would go about doing that. That's part of the conversation, but no, it wouldn't be like an 8-hour thing by any means.
Good. Yeah, good. And I'm thinking here, we can see some of the classes and then kind of come together as a group and vote on it and just say, yeah, this sounds great. This is follows our mission and helps us do our job or our work better. Let's do it. So if you can do that, and then we'll have some examples to discuss next meeting.
Yeah.
That would be very beneficial.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for bringing that up. 2020 HRC goals. How are we with applications to get new members?
We've actually received some applications, so I'm just keeping a file of them right now. And closer to the deadline, we'll have the mayor review them. So
Okay.
I'm waiting still for Darcy and Manisha and Sister Hannah. There is time. We just want to make sure that the mayor has a chance to review them. So if you guys have a chance to get them in, that would be great.
Okay.
What did you say, Whitney? I missed it.
Just if you have a chance to submit your application again.
Oh, I didn't even know I was up for it. Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
How many people are up?
We have 3 terms expiring right now. It's Darcy, Manisha, and Sister Hannah.
Okay, gotcha.
I think that each of you were filling unexpired terms, and so you haven't fulfilled a full term yet. And so if you wish to keep going on with the committee, you have an option to fill a full term or 2 full terms after an unexpired term.
Oh, okay.
This is Manisha. Thanks for the reminder, Whitney. I would like to submit, and I'll make sure I do that.
Okay, great. I will watch for it. And then Shay, I think Sister Hannah wanted to update on her Diversity University because she has to leave by 6:20.
Yes, that
Yeah.
was my next thought process
Right.
there, yeah.
Even a little earlier maybe, so yes, I would love to. I can talk about the Cultural Cooking Club, and then Manisha, you can jump in. Also, we've been working together on it. So we met with Manisha, and I met with Christine from the city and Ben from Dakota Media Access a couple weeks ago now to discuss this Cultural Cooking Club idea. And they were super helpful. They had a lot of ideas of how we could shoot them, the editing, the filming itself. Ben's going to be at the first one for sure, so Manisha and I will be trained on how to use the cameras. Manisha's going to do the first one. That's a for sure thing now. These will be 15-minute, up to 15-minute short films of people cooking and talking about their culture, perhaps wearing clothes from their culture, talking about the food, which we connected to a holiday from their culture. We'd like to do the filming, except for maybe Manisha. She'll be our first guinea pig. After that, maybe in a day or so, do the 3 more. So we'd have maybe 4 total for now. So we're working on getting participants. I have 2 almost nailed down, and I know Manisha's working on another one. So we can get that going. Let's see. We are hopefully going to be doing it at the food co-op. Maybe I'll let Manisha talk about that a little bit. They have an extra room we can use, a kitchen, that we just simply have to thank them for using it publicly, which we can do. Yeah, so I think it's going to be kind of big and exciting. So it's been fun. But Manisha, do you want to jump in and add some stuff?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to thank you for leading this and coming up with the idea. I know that during our meeting, everyone was so excited that we'll be doing this. And so this is exciting for us. Just like Sister Hannah said, I reached out to the food co-op, and they do have a community room, is community space is what they call it, which they do rent out to individuals. And I did share with Whitney the rental rate, as well as if they were to, just give us the space, donate us the space, they would require us to acknowledge and thank the business during our meeting. And we did not make a decision on it. And so I didn't yet reach out to the individuals. And I'm just assuming, Sister Hannah, after hearing you, that I would vote for just, taking a free will donation from them and thanking them for their space. I think that would be a good use, because otherwise we would need that space at least 4 times, since we'd have 4 individuals cooking. And so if that is fine with everyone, I can go ahead and reach out to, it was Shirley who I spoke to, and she did seem very keen and interested on, we could use that space, because that's what that space is meant for. Apparently some news channel already films a cooking show there, so it does have the right kind of light and the right kind of space. So that's very much it. And quickly to add to your list of participants, Sister Hannah, I did hear back from that individual that I was going to reach out to, and unfortunately they will not be able to participate.
Okay, yeah, and I have a list.
Yeah.
I'm going to thank Leah Hargrove. I have a list of people we can reach out to that she suggested would be good. So we're working with some of them.
Yeah, so I think we are on track, and this is super exciting, especially with all the support and the help that we are receiving from everyone.
Very true.
And that's all I had for information. If anyone has questions for me, please feel free to ask.
That's the biggest question I always ask. What help do you need from the rest of us? How can we support you?
I'm going to let Sister Hannah answer that, because I am basically an assistant as well.
We don't want a lot of people at the filmings, obviously, because of COVID. So I don't know that right now we need anything specific. We certainly might. Unless any of you have great video editing skills, but Christine and Ben really took that on, talking about theme music and having the same, like a little intro at the beginning of all of them. I think the main thing would be to simply, once we start showing them on Dakota Access Television and then on the city Facebook site on YouTube or Vimeo or whatever they use, is to just get the word out, share it. Like Jason was saying last time, the city has a pretty big following there, but things can sort of go on Facebook and no one sees it. So, yeah, I guess publicity will kind of be our next step after we get filming started, hopefully in November. So, yep, I think that's the only thing right now.
Okay, making sure that we help spread the word and get everything
Yeah.
out to the public and do our part to help. Yeah. Make it popular.
I guess if you know anyone who want to be a part of it, I don't have any confirmed people yet. I just have 3 that I'm talking with. Who don't mind being in front of a camera, that sort of thing. Let us know also.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you guys for doing that update and really trudging forward with this idea. I think it could be really good.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing we skipped was student liaisons. Do we have any updates there?
Student called with questions regarding, what they would be doing on the committee, and he said that he wanted to make sure he talked it over with his parents and then submit an essay. I haven't received any essays up until today. So I don't know if Manisha has any that she is aware of.
Thank you so much. Was this Whitney? I'm sorry, your voice was breaking when you were giving the update, Whitney.
Oh, okay. We only had one student call who was interested, and I believe he was from St. Mary's. And he said, he just wanted to know what the expectations would be from the students as the liaison. And so I kind of talked to him about the program and how we're looking for a different demographic to join the community or the committee. And so he said he wanted to talk it over with his parents before he committed, and then he would think about submitting an essay. And that's the last that I've heard. And I haven't received any other applications as of today.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. I have not received any information, and I do want to share this, that my daughter is a freshman at Century, and I asked her if she heard about any such thing or event happening, and it appears that she did not receive any information from the school as such. And I don't know how many of the students really do read those newsletters. I'm kind of thinking, I certainly do know my children do not. So maybe this is probably a good time for us to have a discussion about, is there any other way for us to get this information out there? And is there any additional information that we can add in the flyer that could help students like the one that reached out to you, Whitney, to submit the essay? What does the committee feel about how can we further, again, it comes down to advertise and publicize this information. Obviously, I know that we did have a deadline of October 16th, so should we look at extending the deadline and then reaching out to specific individuals at schools, at the high school, and asking them if they could forward this information to their students?
So if I'm hearing you right, Manisha, you would like to just extend the deadline that students would be able to submit and possibly try some different news?
Yes, that
I'm
was
okay.
one.
I'm okay extending the I'm okay extending the deadline. I think if we get too close to the next semester, we might just have to look at this being a fall 2021 goal. And as we lay the framework here in the next few months, maybe it just helps us lay it for the future, right? We got more folks. Once we do it, let's do it once, let's do it right, and then we don't have to worry as much about it.
Right. And so there were two questions I had. One, of course, about extending the deadline. And how does the committee feel if we extend the deadline to November 2nd? But would we have to go back and re-advertise in the newsletter? Because I know there was a cost associated with that.
There's a $25 fee to have it in the Friday flyer. If we didn't reach any students that way, then maybe try directing it, to the high school principals instead, and say, please direct this to students who you feel would be interested in the committee, and then go from that angle.
I think that would be a better and a more efficient approach, because I'm not sure how many students really do read the Friday newsletter. I know that I read it, but I'm not sure how many high schoolers read it. And I think that I would propose that would be a good. Did we send this information to the principals earlier, Whitney?
I did send it to the St. Mary's and the Shiloh principals because they aren't a part of the Bismarck Public Schools. The principals, I sent it to their administration office and asked that it be shared with the students. But with the Bismarck principals, they're all received the Friday flyer. And so Renee, is it their marketing?
Renee Walker.
Yep.
Communications director.
Yeah, Renee, the communications director, was aware, and so she would have gotten that message out.
Okay, so would you recommend we send it this time to the school principals and see?
Yeah, with maybe asking them to share with students who they feel would be interested. That might be, instead of just giving them the flyer, presenting a specific ask from them.
Right. I think I would be very comfortable doing that. If anyone has any other ideas, please feel free to share.
This is Jason. I guess one suggestion might be, if we're going to reach to the principals, maybe we ask them for names of students that they would consider and treat it more as an opportunity, being recognized by the administrator of the building for going above and beyond and doing more than the traditional student, I think might sit well with other students, rather than just simply asking a bunch of teenagers if they want to volunteer for something.
I really do like that idea, because when they know there is some incentive with it, then probably we'll get more input.
Agreed. That's a great idea, Jason.
Yes.
I agree with that, but I think it has a lot to do with COVID as well.
Yes. I agree. That probably does have to do. I'd like to believe that it has to do with COVID, and so would that would we need to change information in the flyer then?
We could still do it both ways, open it up again for volunteers, but then also be very strategic about direct contact from the city to these principals. And we've got a good working relationship with Superintendent Hornbacher and their business manager and Share at the staff level. If we needed direct contact phone numbers and things like that for the right administrators in the school, we can certainly do that on the committee's behalf. If you guys are comfortable with that, we can make those contacts.
I'm sorry, Jason. I had a difficult time hearing you towards the end. I did hear you mention that you have a good working relationship with the superintendents, and so
Sure, if the committee is comfortable, we would be happy to make those direct contacts with the school administrators or the superintendent to try and get a better success rate.
I think that would be a great thing. So if I'm perfectly fine with that, if everyone else is, I think that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I've got no problems with something like that.
Okay, we can sure help in that regard too.
Just keep the ball rolling, kind of a thing. I like it. Anyone else?
This is Manisha again. My only suggestion would be, Whitney, could you please make edits to the submission due date, because we have October 16th on it right now.
Okay.
And so if we want to move it to maybe October 30th or November 2nd. 30th is the Friday and 2nd is a Monday. I'm not sure which is a better day for individuals to where we would have a better response rate. I'm fine with either of those two dates.
And the next meeting is the 16th. So any time up until that date that you would have them to review at your next meeting, that might give them a bit more time.
Yes, absolutely. Let's do it that way. The only thing is that we do have a start date for November 23rd.
And I'm looking here, and actually the third Wednesday is November 16th.
Right,
So
right.
that
I
was the
think
first meeting, so we'll have to edit that as well.
oh, so we'll have to make that as November 16th. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. And
would that be too short to
review the essays? They technically wouldn't be able to start until December then, after you guys reviewed the essays.
Right, right. And December, what date is our meeting?
That one
The 20. Is it the 21st?
Yes.
I think then if we can have the start date as December 21st, that way they're attending one meeting right before break, and that gives them time for the break. And if we have students, I think it would be ideal if we could have students from, let's say, St. Mary's and someone from Bismarck High, or maybe another student from Century High or Legacy. I think that would be a very amazing partnership to see.
Okay, so just to recap, we'll have the due date as November 13th, which is before your November meeting, and then the start date of December 21st.
I'm comfortable with that if everyone else is. I mean, I would like to see, I would like to hear other individuals' inputs as well.
I don't see a problem with that at all.
Okay. Thank you, Shay.
You bet. For the last two, I mean, I don't know if anyone has any community events that are coming up. I think a lot of things are getting canceled due to COVID, but does anyone have anything on that front? Okay. I'll keep moving on. Is there any other business that we should be discussing here today? Anyone have anything? No? Going once, going twice? I guess with that, I don't have anything else. I think we had a good meeting. We got some things coming from to Whitney for our next meeting. So we should have a lot to discuss in November. With that, I guess I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, awesome. Thanks everyone for being here. And oh wait, sorry. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. We got some good things coming down the pipe here, so I look forward to our November meeting.
Have a good night,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.